So here we are in the Temple Cemetery again. This is Tony from the Fraser Museum. And I'm sitting next to the grave of yet another important Louisvillian, Rebecca Rosenthal Judah. That is her married name. It was Rebecca Rosenthal when she was born. She was born in 1866, which I find interesting, and I'll get to that in just a second. But she was born January 13th, 1866, apparently, according to the Courier-Journal, on a beautiful day. 50 degrees outside. They say it was sunshiny and as pleasant as May. The reason I think it's interesting she was born in 1866 is because as we find ourselves on the 100th anniversary of the passage of the 19th Amendment, suffrage for women, and suffrage for all, really, that was the year of the very first Civil Rights Act passed by Congress in American history. The 1866 Civil Rights Act, some people might call it, was passed by a majority of Congress over the veto of President Andrew Johnson. It's interesting, that particular act, in what it omits. It says, as you would imagine, that those people who were born in America are citizens and are due the rights of citizens. And it goes on to list many, many rights of citizens, but it omits one particular one, and that is the right to vote. We find ourselves right in the middle of history, right in the middle of an argument about democracy and about who should take part in democracy. And it's interesting that all these civil rights, these people, that the idea that they are granting civil rights to everyone omits perhaps the cornerstone of our democracy. Rebecca Rosenthal tirelessly worked towards suffrage for women. She was part of the Kentucky Equal Rights Association. At one point, she was a vice president in 1913 and also treasurer for many, many years. She founded the Louisville chapter of the National Council for Jewish Women in 1895. And now that particular association has done tremendous things throughout history. One of them, of course, was fight for women's suffrage, but also work for the health and well-being of children. So she's a champion of women and children in this city. Now, there's a list of other things that she took part in, and I can go through some of them here. She was part of the Kentucky Consumers League on the board and was partly responsible. There was a fight at the turn of the century, early 1900s, over produce and the freshness of produce, in particular, freshness of eggs. The Baby's Milk Fund, she was a strong supporter of, and the Baby's Milk Fund was more than just providing milk for babies. It provided instruction for new mothers as to how to best care for their children, their new babies. She was on the board of the neighborhood house. She was part of the Child Labor Association. She was also part of the Travelers Aid Society, which, if you're not familiar, I wasn't. Travelers Aid Society provided aid in the form of money and clothing and whatnot, but also advice and assistance to women who were traveling alone, which is not something that happened regularly, and it was also perhaps considered at times dangerous. So those women who found themselves traveling alone could then go to the Travelers Aid Society. Rebecca Rosenthal Judah was very active in this community, members of many, many different associations and clubs with the intent to make life better for women and children particularly. If you're interested in learning more about the suffrage movement in America, also in Kentucky, please come down to the Fraser and visit our new exhibit, or relatively new exhibit, What is a Vote Worth? There's a great deal to learn and a lot of fun stuff to see. So we look forward to seeing you here soon. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.